I typically don't talk about things that are like developing in the news. I like to sit with it for a little bit and decipher for myself what I think the agendas are and what's going on. I also don't really care to read people's opinions, especially when people just hiding behind a screen going in because they're anonymous. Um, and also because we're in such a polarized time, people aren't really necessarily having conversations. They're just talking at each other, trying to get heard because people feel unheard. Um, but what I'm talking about, or what's coming up for me now, is thinking about this Little Mermaid thing. I didn't know much about it. I don't know when the first time I heard it was. But apparently Ariel is black now, and it's got people up in a bunch, and on both sides, right? Like both sides being black and white. Um, People fighting about she was white, so why she gotta be black now, and why she always been white, brother. The same thing happened with Annie, and then people going in talking about, well, if they made Malcolm X and then they put a white man in it, you would be mad. I mean, yeah, because it's historical. Because they also made what the last samurai with Brad Pitt, the Mexican with Brad Pitt, the last samurai with Tom Cruise. They've made Exodus with all white people, talking about Egyptian people. Like, so this has been something that's gone, whitewashing history has, and representing only white people in historical things has happened. So, you know what I'm saying? That's already been happening. So we don't need to take it to the extreme of what if we represented prominent black people with white people. That's Aggie. That's just like an Aggie point to even make. And I feel like for that side, what it's highlighting is like the way that white folks, it seems like, because I don't really see a lot of, I just haven't necessarily seen a lot of black people or non white people also advocating loudly for the Little Mermaid to remain white. But it's like you're showing yourself, right? You're showing your ass talking about you want things to remain white. This is just going too far now. They're changing all the. They called a little. I don't know if you remember with Annie. They called that little girl the N word because Annie's white. Annie's fictional. Jesus is black. If we want to get into it, but you're already showing him as a white man, hair of wool. What white man you know have hair of wool that wasn't permed? You know what I'm saying? So it's just to me for that to show how much there are people really invested in clinging to the ideology of whiteness, that certain things need to remain white. That's just what I see from that. What I see on the other side though is like representation is important, of course. But I guess my question is like, why did the Little Mermaid have to be black? Like, what is it? I guess I'm curious because Disney has not always been the most positive in their portrayals of black people. I'm like, is this them making up for that? Because a lot of, I don't know if y'all know the slur Sambo, but like a lot of that imagery of like very dark characters with these big like red lips comes from Disney, and the old Mickey Mouse was pretty freaking racist. So like, is it to show that they're progressing with the times, or is it also because buying into black things and portraying black people is profitable now? The largest consumer is the black American. And so if you appeal to them, they'll keep consuming things. Because when I think about it, what comes up for me when I think about this move is like I think about Black Lives Matter Boulevard. Black Lives Matter has become a prominent trope, like a saying, right? And there's things all over. There's flags, there's merch now, all of this stuff. But has the quality of life changed for black people? Hmm. I'm not sure that I can say yes to that. and it became something that people can put up in their window and say, as you know, just say, and companies can say it. But it reminds me of Pride Month, June, right? Everybody's all rainbow, July 1st. Get that shit out of here. Because we back to business as usual. It's like a fad thing, you know? So that's what I see when I see both sides of this argument in the conversation. And I think also what is frightening about it is the lack of ability to have a conversation about it. Like people, if a white person brings up why is it that this person is black now, racist. We use this word now to just discredit. It's racist has become almost a new crazy, right? If you call, I remember learning in improv, if you make, they told us to avoid making a character crazy, like in terms of nonsensical and just wild, because then they lose their credibility. This person can do anything, so there's not really a character here. It's just random shit. And I feel like racist is also one that is, it's one that's said that shuts down a conversation. It does not open up the conversation because nobody wants to be called a racist. Of course, it's important to name when we're seeing something for sure. But people aren't here, again, people aren't here to have conversations. And the climate is not one of conversation. It feels to me, I don't know if y'all know about Helter Skelter. If you know anything about Charles Manson, he was always very nervous about Helter Skelter, which he saw as race wars and race riots and people fighting between, you know, black and white. And it feels like we're leading to that. It feels like they're brewing the perfect potion for people to snap because it comes down to black and white all the time. And I don't know. I always also think it's interesting how distracted we get by things in the media. What's going on? What is happening in Congress right now? We don't know shit about what our lawmakers do. We don't know shit about policies actually getting it. You have to like really pay attention to that and be into politics to know how your country is being run with things that are going to affect you. People want to vote, people don't really want to vote, but we know all about celebrities and all this mermaid shit. Really? It's just fascinating to me. To me, there's not necessarily a right or wrong about it. It's just interesting to observe and see people lose themselves. It miss the point entirely. Because there is something, they say the powers that be, very invested in humans being divided and being upset with each other and having no capacity to actually have compassion, to have a real conversation, to disagree with respect. So, just very interesting. Yeah. I'm a person who enjoys having challenging conversations. I enjoy engaging somebody who I disagree with because I have the capacity to do so. I take care of myself, I rest, I eat, I fill my cup. So when I have a conversation with somebody, even if it's hard, and as long as it remains respectful, right? If you're calling me out my name, if you're being disrespectful to me, you're dragging me down, making character attacks, then we're not having a conversation. But just because you hold a different ideology than me, I'm willing to talk to you about that because I understand that change isn't going to happen from one conversation, and I don't know you. Like, I think about how much it takes exposure and proximity, getting close to somebody for you to actually care and change. I don't know. There's this quote that I've been saying. I said before, someone brought it up to me, but like, if you're not willing to hold space for somebody, it's also strange that you would expect them to hold space for you. And I get it when I think about black and white because I think about how a lot of black people and brown people have been forced to hold space for white ideals, right? For years, we've been in whiteness without any question. And now it's like, nah, now y'all gonna have to take it too. To me, vengeance is not the same as justice. And retribution is not the same as justice. And of course, equaling the playing field, leveling things out, it's going to feel like somebody's giving up some stuff while some people are getting some stuff for sure. And it's hard to let go of things. I get that too. But again, it's just, I don't know. I feel like we can approach it with a lot more groundedness on both sides. Because I feel like, and it's not to say, oh, zen yourself out and don't be mad and, anger serves no, because you can get angry. We can get angry. We can be frustrated with each other. But to me, it's the attacks, the demeaning attacks, the labeling, the judgment that is then counterproductive to having an actual conversation. And what is the actual point of the conversation that folks are trying to have? If you're trying to convince somebody that you matter, you've already lost. So those are my thoughts about the thing. I often feel wary about this part of sharing, because it doesn't fit, I guess, the normal trope of things, and it feels like it could be very easily misinterpreted. But it's how I feel. So that's what I got for you.